All right, folks are filtering in here. I love it. Welcome, welcome. I see Nick Clemens out there. That's awesome.
And everybody, while people start to filter, I'm probably going to wait about 2 minutes. There's a link there in the chat for you to go to mural board. Just go ahead and click on that and then double click on one of those little squares and please put your name, what company you're with, and where you live. And 17 fun facts about you. Just kidding.
That's next. Come on, Chris. Why are you ruining what's next here, man? Oh, I love it. I see Mr. Felipe Engineer out there. He'll be so proud of me for using Mural. I have not arranged it in a Scrum format. I apologize, Felipe, but we're going to make it happen anyway. So when you come in the Mural board, you can see it's long. What we're looking for, number 0 over here. Get into Mural. Here's a link for you as well, a QR code if that helps. Hop in here. We see several of y'all getting in. I love it. Go ahead and pop up in 0, and if you're familiar with it, put your name, your company, your location in there. I'm gonna repost the link. Sorry for those of you who may get it multiple times here. Ooh, I see my buddy Jesus Hernandez. He's the one that actually made the call to use Mural today. Thank you. Thank you. Who else we got? Mr. Justin Uyar, welcome. Luke Truffle, welcome. Michael Perry. Oh, we're going to have fun today. This is not going to be your average presentation or webinar where one person just talks to you the whole time. We're going to have fun, right, Chris?
Lots of fun. Sorry, I was on mute. Tons of fun. So much fun.
Come on, you got to say it like you mean it. Get some lights going on in here. Oh, yeah.
You got to have the selfie stick light.
I don't know about all that. Luke Tufel with Faithful. Pop in there, Luke. Tell us where you're from. I'm interested. Looks like we got a lot of Texans in here. Felipe, currently in Arizona. I see a depth builder, Jesse Hernandez. San Antonio. We got some naturals here in Mural. I love it.
Good old San Antonio. I was born and raised San Antonio.
Were you really? No way.
And
I've actually never been to San Antonio, despite my my homeboy being there. I have to change that. What's the best part about San Antonio?
Food.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Tacos.
I had to live in Boston, Massachusetts for 8 years, and people always said, "What do I miss?" I said, besides family, breakfast taco and the Spurs.
Nice. I love it. Every time I talk to my buddy Jesse down there, I'm eating tacos. They're the best.
They're the best. All right. We want to kick this off or wait one more?
I think we're good. I'll drop the link in there one time for the folks who are just coming in. But yeah, kick us off, Chris.
All right. So good afternoon, good morning, good evening. More along lines, looks like it from everybody who's in. Good afternoon. So, hey, thank you for all taking a few moments out of your day to join us. My name is Chris Ekman, and I represent the company Build Exact. So if you're not familiar, we're a construction management software company that provides our clients the ability to perform digital takeoffs, accurately quote, and manage all of their projects digitally in one centralized location. So today we are very lucky to have Adam Hoots from Construction Inc. Solutions here to help all of us understand how to not only improve performance by being lean, but help develop your capabilities to enhance your overall quality of work. So while this is being recorded, as Adam is flowing, please feel free to type any of your questions in the chat, and I'll sort of interject and get them asked where appropriate. So I know we're all busy, so let's just jump right in and over to Adam.
Appreciate you, Chris. I love how you said that. This is going to be very interactive. There are folks on. I don't know if folks can come off mute. Is that possible? Can we get folks off mute, Chris, so they can just speak up, or what does that feel like? Felipe, I know you're out there. Jesse, are you guys able to come off mute? Because I'd love to make this even more interactive. That'd be even better. So as we get going here, I'm going to take that as a no. We get in here. Sweet, yeah. Take everyone off mute, and if they start acting up, we can just put them back on mute. But again, I love it. Jesse's not dressed. I love it. So we're here today to talk about capabilities, right? And I don't want to be the only one driving this conversation. I want this to be interactive. I want to get to know who y'all are. So one more time, I'm going to pop the link into the chat for the mural board. Get in there. If you're not, speak up. If you take yourself off mute, tell us, hey, I'm having problems. I'm having troubles getting the mural. It looks like we got, I don't know, 16 to 20 people on Zoom and maybe 8 in the mural board. Is anybody having troubles?
You said, Adam, you said you got the link in the chat.
Yes, sir. You seeing it?
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I got it now. It's pulling up.
Perfect. Appreciate it, Justin. Thanks for being a leader, my man. Anybody else having troubles getting in or trying to figure out how to work it? If you just double click in the white space, it'll pop you in a post-it note there, and then you can type in it. So this is always a little bit of trouble and a little bit of tough getting people in and going. So while you're getting in there, playing around with that, go ahead, Jermaine. Are you having troubles?
No, I'm good.
Cool, perfect. So who am I, right? Let's go there. This is who I am to describe me the best. In the top right, you've got all my girls. That's Brittany, JC, and Lily. The bottom right, you got my dogs. That's Keiston on the couch and Homer, Home Run Hoots right there next to him. We're very much a baseball family. In fact, I asked my wife to marry me at a Red Sox Rays game on the Jumbotron, like totally, and she loved it. I promise you, she loved it. She's still with me, believe it or not. I am also the voice of the Lean Builders podcast. That's Hoots on the Ground with no bullshito. I was a plumber for a few years coming out of high school, went to college. My dad really made me become a plumber. He did it intentionally on purpose, I'm sure, to really drive me to school. I went to school, got a degree, joined a company called Whiting Turner. I traveled the country for 12 to 13 years, building labs, life science, clean rooms. From there, I joined DPR here in the Greenville region. Really started to diversify and better understand construction from a people perspective. And so from there, I've gone in and started my own coaching business here. And I am just loving where I'm at. I'm super passionate about lean construction and making a difference in people's capabilities. And so just a couple of quick shout outs or come off. Nick, tell us a little bit about yourself real quick.
Hey, what's up, Hoots? Nick Clemens, O'Shea Builders in Springfield, Illinois, senior superintendent, and been in the construction industry for about 23 years. Been with O'Shea for the last 14 years, and most of that time spent working in healthcare construction.
Beautiful. Thank you, Nick. Jesse, how about you? You want to come off and talk to me?
Yeah, man, what's going on, people? Jesse Hernandez here from San Antonio, and yes, the tacos are amazing. I run my own business now, helping leaders achieve buy-in. Came up as a plumber, very similar to Adam, just sexier. Spent a bunch of time on the trade side of the business, about 20 years there. Worked for the GC for about just over 3 years, and then worked on the owner side for a little bit. And as you can tell, every step of every change in my career, I think I move further and further away from real work. That's me.
It feels less and less like work. There's no doubt about that, Jesse. Thank you. How about Luke? Introduce us to you, Luke.
Luke Tufel. I'm the operations manager for Faithful Construction. We do custom high-end homes and remodeling. on beautiful Vancouver Island in Canada. And I don't know what to say beyond that. I have 11 children, so I am a manager at heart.
Operations is your gig, man. I love
Yeah.
that. That's amazing. Thank you, Luke. Appreciate you chiming in. How about Miss Beth? Are you out there? Miss Beth
Hi,
is hot.
everyone.
There
I'm
she is.
Beth. I work with Build Exact and the marketing team and putting together these webinars like this. So I manage things in a totally different way, but still manage activities and projects.
Love it. Thank you, Miss Beth. How about Felipe?
What's up, y'all? Felipe calling in from beautiful Arizona. Survived my first dust storm yesterday. 20 plus years in construction, bring lean and scrum to everything I do. Today, I'm doing it inside of the Bolt Company with love and respect for people. And Adam knows me too well.
Are you proud of me for using Mural here? That's the question.
Super proud. I dropped hearts
Yeah.
in the chat to you.
I saw that. Thank you. So lots of other folks. How about Justin Uyar? And then we'll get going here.
Justin Uyar, project superintendent for Shellco, calling in from Charlotte, North Carolina, graduate of Clemson University. So go Tigers.
Love it. Love it. And that's my current, I'm actually just started at Clemson this fall as well. So go Tigers. So those of you who are not in here, Steve, I see you roaming around. Go ahead and pop your name, company, location. I'd love to keep this as record. Y'all will always be able to get back to this presentation via this mural link. So stay here, stay with us. If you're not in yet, pop in because we're going to have some more of this. But I'm going to go ahead and move forward and talk a little bit about capability here as we drive this thing forward. So I'm here to talk to you a little bit about developing your capabilities. And this is really personal to me because I really liken the construction industry to our public school systems, where we're not really teaching people to think anymore. And that's a problem. Like when my kids come home with homework or they've got this spelling test coming up, you know, the teachers are asking them, how do you spell a word? Well, how do you memorize the way to spell this word? And that doesn't happen in my house. You have to think about the word. You don't just get to spell the word, you have to define the word, because then you're taking more time and you're diving in. So again, there's this concept in construction of, hey, I just needed you to get 100 or 1,000 square foot of drywall hung today, or 200 linear feet of wall frame today. Not how are you doing it? Or am I encouraging people to go and think about what they're doing? Am I giving them the time, the space, right? The first 12 minutes of this meeting to get into Mural, to start to develop some capabilities? Are we being intentional about that? And today we're going to learn about some tools, some different ways that we're able to do that. I define capability as having the right knowledge, skills, making sure that we have the capacity, the resources. All of these play out into the way that I'm able to have the capacity or capability to get something done on a job. And a lot of this affects productivity, right? And ultimately, our industry has an issue with focusing too much on productivity and not enough on developing people's capabilities. And so I really want to encourage us to stop and think about some of these tools in this presentation and how we're going to incorporate these on our day-to-day basis. So real quick, defining capability a little bit deeper, there's levels to it, right? When you first start to become aware of something or better understand something, you're at the very bottom of this totem pole. So like my kids, and they're trying to memorize their spelling words, right? They're just remembering. So they're living down here in this orange zone of this Bloom's taxonomy, which you can go and do some research, but some really smart scientific people came up with, this is the way we think, right? So at first we remember things and then we really start to understand it. Once you start to understand it, then I can apply things. Once I'm applying it, I'm able to analyze and evaluate and ultimately start to create new things that help develop capabilities. And so I want to talk a little bit about capability from multiple levels so that we can then dive in and better understand how these tools affect each one of these levels. And so you have individual capability. So we're talking about the individual person, right? Me, Adam Hoots, what capabilities do I have? And how am I continuing to improve them? How do I seek what capabilities that I need to develop? And then how do I take action on that to improve that? And so we do that through many ways, right? I know Jesse, who's on the call, introduced himself earlier, does a lot of journaling, right? We have a mutual friend who loves to go walking and ideas just explode in her head. And I'm sure that other folks have their own ways of, developing capabilities. But what's important is we're analyzing, we're taking some time to stop and understand what capabilities do I have and what capabilities do I want? And then we're taking action to get there. Now, when you think about how that individual capability, that's great. And we're able to mend that and blend that into a team. And so you can see this team is made up of a lot of different individuals. As we develop individual capability, those all weigh into, well, now what is our team's capability? And so this is a part that I think we miss a lot in construction. As we're establishing teams, are we really, really thinking about, what are people passionate about? And what are people going to perform the best? And so this is ultimately what we're describing as becoming this system of people and development. And so you've got an individual that fits into the team, right? So these are two different levels of capabilities. The next capability, and I'm not going to keep expounding on this, is organizational capability. I think you can start to see how, look, each one of these little dots is that individual. Each one of these gears is a team. And now we're starting to play into the organization as a whole. And so again, the tools that we're going to talk about today are going to be applicable to each one of these levels. And then you can expound that even to one more level, and we start talking about the industry. And then what's forgotten here is, you remember those little dots way down in here? That's the people, right? That's the thing that makes this whole thing go around. And so that's what we're ultimately looking for. Whoever did that, thank you. I love that you're in here playing with this. Again, you cannot break this tool. So go in here, I've locked down so you can't move things, but if you want to pop Post-its in, take notes, ask questions, like do whatever we want to get better in this document here. So what is team capability, right? So we talked about individual and how it comes to team, and how it goes to organization. We're going to talk about some tools that actually help you to develop capabilities at all of these levels. But I really want to frame this from a team mindset. And so these are the tools that we're going to be talking about today. Really, they're high level concepts that you can take and apply to make your focus shift from this organizational improvement to people improvement. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about pausing and reflecting and how important that is. And then we're going to get a little bit uncomfortable as I challenge the rest of you to get in here and apply and help me get folks a little bit uncomfortable and talk about, hey, how do you pause and reflect? How do you get outside your comfort zone? And then we're going to talk about pushing form and pulling content, which, oh, by the way, is everything that is being delivered in this conversation. And then we're going to talk about the art of questioning, which maybe Jesse, again, he's one of the ones that have taught me the most about that. Would love, Jess, for you to come offline and participate in that quite a bit as we go through what that feels like. And then we're going to talk about radical candor feedback. And if we have time, I know, Felipe, you love harassing me about culture. So maybe we can come off and talk a little bit about culture and what that means. Those of you that just showed up thinking you're getting a show, you're going to have to participate here. So be ready. So pausing and reflecting, right? Huge. And we don't do this enough as builders. So let's talk about why this is important. Why is it important to celebrate successes, right? Those are the things that we're doing good. Those are the things that are really striking people. Those are the things that people are taking home. And so those are the reasons that, hey, we need to continue to celebrate successes. Why else should we pause and reflect and share? Well, that's learning. right? When I can stop, not talk, not fill the space, maybe get a little uncomfortable. That's the sound of thought, is when people, when you hit somebody with that question and they're like, oh, I never thought of that. Or, oh, that's a good question. Like that's where it's at. Then you can actually hear somebody thinking, and that's improving the world. So again, it's thinking, right? It's not testing, it's thinking. How are we going to get our folks in the field thinking on better ways to get work done, to improve work as we're moving forward? Some traditional construction examples of pausing and reflecting. Well, schedule updates, right? Most of us do them once a month. Remember that CPM that needs updated? RFIs, but that's just because we have to. We've ran into a stop and work, and now we've got to document it and send it in. We do a pretty good job with milestone celebrations, a lot of topping out parties or bottoming out parties, dry-in thing. Like, I think we do a pretty good job there. But most of it's technical, right? When we pause and reflect, it's like technical learning. Well, here's some lean construction examples. What if we learned about the workers, right? What if we paused when we went out in the field and we just said, hey, how was your weekend? Or teach me what you're doing, or tell me something I don't know. Like, all of those are questions that you can get people out there and start thinking. Some other ways, I've got a couple of ways to measure trust on the jobs, plus deltas, which we're going to get some experience with at the end of this. Again, assuming we can move through at a timely fashion. Team health assessments, figuring out, hey, how does everybody feel about everybody on the job, right? How are we performing as a team? Are we a high performing team? Or do we have some room for improvement? And then the classic PDCA, right? That's plan, do, check, adjust, or plan, do, check, act. There's many different versions of that. Point being is, look, I've got a plan. I'm going to do it. Then I'm going to pause and I'm going to check if what I'm doing is to the plan and moving in the right direction. And if it is, great. If not, I'm going to adjust it a little bit, and I'm going to plan it again, do it again, and check it again and adjust it. So again, all of these are encouraging pause and reflect moments. So tell me this doesn't look familiar, right? We get awarded a project in construction, and then we go, and then we're done. And it's like, whew, that was a barn burner, but we got it done. We maybe developed some capabilities and we made it happen. And chances are, if you're in the executive leadership, maybe you get awarded another project kind of right in here and you start going again before the other one's finished. Well, time out. That's just chaos. And I think that's the point of what our industry is in right now. And so with programs like Build Exact and lean construction methods, Felipe mentioned Scrum earlier, we're able to have a project award, set some conditions of satisfaction, and then we go. But then we pause, we reflect, we say, is what we've done helping us? Is it moving us towards our target? Or are we off a little bit? It's kind of like this. I don't know if anybody knows about sailing, but when you're sailing, you don't go straight from point A to point B because there are too many factors to factor in. Chances are you're kind of going in this wavy motion and you get a little bit past, but then you veer back on. Same thing with flying an airplane, right? And so the point is, as soon as you get off course, it's time to make some changes, modify where your direction's headed, and get back on course. And so that's what lean construction flow enables you to do, right? And it's this constant beat of pausing and reflecting. Some people call it the plus delta. Some people just call it pause and reflect. I mean, the point is, when you're able to really hit the pause button and stop and allow people to learn or to develop the capabilities, people feel more connected to their work. And so I want to pause and reflect. I want folks to get in here. Hopefully you're still in the mural board here with me. I'm going to summons you all to where I am. Come on in here. How do you pause and reflect? I'm going to set a timer for a minute because I'm really, really bad at this because I always love to fill the silence. So maybe one more time before I do this so that I can go ahead and get my silence unfilled. I'm going to post the link in the chat one more time. Hop in there. You should be summoned right to where I am. And I'm going to go and set a timer for 1 minute. And I just want you to tell me, how do you pause and reflect? Whew. Man, that's tough for me. So I see lots of folks in here. If you're not on the mural board, please get in. Is anybody having troubles? Come off mute, talk to me. Let's see. We got a couple of really good ones in here. I love the time blocking, 30 minutes a day labeled. Am I moving the needle? Love it. Weekly Scrum retrospective. I already knew. You don't have to put your name on there, Felipe. We know who you are, baby. How about this one? Personal daily work journal, team daily toolbox talks. Oh, I love it. Walking the job early in the morning. That's my favorite. Whoever wrote that, do you actually, and you can put in a post-it or come off mute, do you talk to the building when you're walking the job early in the morning? I'm really curious. One hour a day, set in my calendar, when in action. I love it. Whoever took the walk in the job early in the morning off there. I loved it though.
Hey, Adam, it's Tony Park,
Yeah.
O'Shea Builders. Yeah, I had that on there. I accidentally erased it, but yeah, that's how I kind of reflect is in the morning, just walking the job and get my mind right before the day starts.
Well,
So-
do you actually talk to the building, Tony?
I don't.
Okay. I thought you were gonna side with me there. That's okay. Try it sometime. It's
I
very.
talk to myself. I talk to myself a lot.
All right, maybe that's what I'm doing. I'm just blaming it on the building. I don't know. All right. So again, I encourage you keep hopping into mural, and we're going to continue to march forward here. We're about halfway through. I really want to get Jess and Felipe timed up here too. So I'm going to set myself to maybe 4 minutes on this and just keep myself accountable with time boxing here. So it was super uncomfortable waiting that minute when I know I only have 30 minutes left and I have so much content that I want to cover. That was super uncomfortable, but you guys are bearing with me. I love it. And what that means is we're getting better, we're improving. And so it's tough. Leaving your comfort zone is super, super difficult. And I want you to think about the last time you're in an elevator, right? And unless it was with me, because I love making those moments a little bit less awkward, especially if you're my child. I'm going to challenge you for a dad joke in the elevator just to break the silence. But there's always that awkward silence, right? Which can be good. And so I think it's important. Again, that's the sound of thought. But we've got to get through that being a little bit uncomfortable. We've got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And so I'll point to the Yerkes and Dodson law. And really that is a measure of your performance and your arousal. And so if what I'm trying to teach you is like, oh, I already know this and I don't need this, you're going to be like sleepy and fatigued and not really interested. But if what I'm telling you is like, wow, I can use that. And I do remember getting outside my comfort zone. Last time I showed up to a networking event, it was a little uncomfortable, but I learned and I grew. Now I'm like, got your optimal arousal. But if I could keep going and I dump too many of these concepts on you, you're going to get stressed out and be a little bit more, have a ton of anxiety. And so it's super important that we think about this as we're delivering this type of content. And so I want to dive in and show you what the comfort zone looks like. This is the infamous Jen Lacey with Robbins and Morton. Her drawing specifically, you can see most of us like to live in this comfort zone. It's like, man, I can send an email instead of call. Like I like sending emails or texts, or I don't want to turn my video on, right? Maybe I'm a little more comfortable without, but when I can break through this discomfort zone or this fear zone, and I can be vulnerable and not be scared of the uncertainty there, I break through that, the opportunities are unknown, and I start to achieve my goals and fulfill my dreams. And so another way to look at this is the way it was first introduced to me. Again, this is where I'm living in that comfort zone. But if I can just break through the fear zone and just step into that networking event, and now I'm talking to somebody, and now I'm learning, like, okay, I can ask them questions, and then it's all about them. And then now I really get into this growth zone. So I encourage you to really think about different ways that you can get outside your comfort zone. And it may just be as easy as not being the last person to say goodbye on your next phone call. That's one that I've challenged a lot of people with, and it's always a little uncomfortable. And so the main point being here is, hey, when you're allowing yourself to get outside your comfort zone and your teams are experiencing that, people feel more connected to their work. So I've got another activity here. I want to know how you get outside your comfort zone. So come in here, you can try and grab it, post it. I'm going to set another timer for a minute. I did good on that one. I want to know, how do you get outside your comfort zone? Tell me. I'm going to do 30 seconds. "30 seconds is much less uncomfortable," or maybe we just did it a couple of times, and so things are getting a little bit easier. But some of the ideas, putting myself in situations that challenge my intellect, going from idea to action as quickly as possible. I know who that one is. Someone put the Nike saying, "Just do it," out there. Listen to my feelings and follow uncertainty. I love it, Felipe. Thank you. Rip off the Band-Aid. Heck yeah. Just do it. Just make it happen. I say yes and commit before I have a chance to say no. That one sounds pretty dangerous. So I urge some caution there, but I love it. Thank you for the feedback here. You 5 or 6 people. I love what's going on. I think I can celebrate y'all, right? Yeah. Maybe some hearts. Love it. Thank you. I appreciate the participation. We're going to move on to the next topic here. Again, I'm going to challenge myself 4 minutes. We're going to get going. So this one is a concept that I pulled from Nicholas Modig. Nicholas wrote a book called This Is Lean, and it is a amazing book to be able to help understand exactly what lean is. And so I would highly recommend the book. Hopefully you're starting to feel a pattern to this, right? Where we talk about a concept and then we do a quick review and reflect. I am going to throw you off that pattern in an effort of time as we're moving forward here. But the intent is, I have a form, right? Because I've got everybody into the mural board. We're participating, but I'm not telling you what to put into mural, right? I'm pulling the content from you. And so I am using a teacher learner mindset. As Felipe calls it, I'm learning from the back of the, or teaching from the back of the room. And so we're really able to engage the audience. We're really able to customize the conversation and make this happen. And so why is this important? Well, people need parameters in order to be encouraged to think, right? Because if we just let them go off without any direction whatsoever, it won't be productive, and it might not move us in the right direction. And so part of this is having this teacher learner mindset where, yeah, I might be the one that's been selected for the webinar, but I know the genius that's in this group, and I want to pull that out into this because I'm going to have knowledge for this for some of these topics. But I know that if I brought others in and we could have deeper dialogue, that conversation would be so much better and more engaging, and it would mean more to the people here in the audience. So again, we've been doing this the whole time. And what I want to show you is Nicholas's diagram that he drew for me so that I really understood what he was talking about. And so what happened is there's a Japanese company that sells Toyotas. Toyota doesn't actually sell their own vehicles. They have third-party kind of distributors that go in and represent and sell vehicles. And so this particular, I guess, distributor, Nicholas got to work with, and they were the least performing distributor and out of all of the 360 something distributors for Toyota. Well, they had a change in management, and the actual next generation ended up taking over. And within 2 years, they became the best performing distributor for Toyota. And when Nicholas asked him how they did it, he went into this story of, look, we gave everybody the same training, right? So we gave everybody the same pair of glasses. Then we allowed and enabled everybody to use that training to do their work. As everybody was using the training, so now that we've all got the same training and we're seeing through the same lens, we're all using it, now our teams can make recommendations for improvement, right? And then once they make those recommendations as a team, we can figure out which recommendations that we want to implement or improve. So we have a form of how we're delivering training, how we're using the training, we've got a recommendation for innovations, but we're not telling folks what to improve. We're actually pulling the improvements from the front lines, because who's going to know what to improve better? The executive sitting at the 30,000 foot level, or is it going to be the person who's actually doing the work on the front lines, who's able to work with the materials, the equipment, the logistics on a day-to-day basis? That's the person that we need to be pulling the improvements from. And so again, I come back to this slide, and when people and teams are able to develop the capability of pulling content and not pushing what people have to learn or memorize or any of that, people are going to feel more connected to their work. So now, Jess, I'd love to invite you. I don't know if you want to undo your video. Maybe you got some clothes on by now. If not, that's okay. You can stay non-video for us. But come on, take off mute. Let's talk a little bit about the art of questioning here.
10-4.
So,
well, yeah, I'm still not decent, but I don't mind sharing my voice. Perfect. What are you thinking here, Mr. Hoots?
Well, I'll tell you, you're the one that has taught me the most about questions. What makes up a good question, Jess?
Ooh, the simplest way to think about questions in terms of better understanding the person in front of me, identifying like some really key points that I can either serve or understand more about, is by asking the question to which I do not know the answer. And so when we're engaging with people one-on-one, and when I say engaged, I should be clear, I mean 100% focused and connected to the human being that's in front of me or to an audience. I'm observing their face, their body, the way they speak, their tone, like all of these things. So I've got to be totally present for that. And their words are going to signal one thing, but the rest of their body is going to signal another. So it's listening with your eyes and your ears and asking that question that you don't really know the answer to, but there's something there. And so you ask the question. And to the point you made earlier, leveraging the power of silence and giving people that space to process the question and respond is also, that's like the 1-2 punch. You've got to ask the question, and there's some courage required, because what we're really practiced at is asking those, like leading the witness. Don't you think it would be better if, or we kind of like to do a little bit closer to proper, we'll ask, why did you do that? Which is very accusational. Now, if I say, what was the intended outcome of that decision? That's a whole different question, right? Because I'm not accusing the person by saying, why did you? I'm questioning what the intended outcome was behind the decision, so that the person can now separate themselves from the decision, the outcome, and explain what they were thinking. So I think you and I, we've talked about this a bunch. There's a scale. We think of a sliding scale. On one end, we're telling people, because we have to. The clearest example I have of that is tying shoes. When you're teaching a kid to tie their shoes, you don't teach them by asking them open-ended questions, because you'll pull your damn hair out. You tie their damn shoes, or get them some Velcro, right? You tie their shoes for them. And then, so you demonstrate the technique, you demonstrate the skill, and then you do it with them. Like, you observe them, and as they're doing it incorrectly or correctly, you coach them through that. And then you observe them to ensure that they actually have the skill or command of the skill. And then you can do some open-ended questioning. And so it's all relative to the individual that's in front of us. What are their capabilities with that specific skill, and having that awareness of where to go. So the point is, all of the questions are valuable, but adding these coaching questions, these thought-provoking questions that cause people to examine their own thinking, are largely absent, because we put expediency over learning all the time. I'm Jesse, and I'm done speaking.
Oh, that was beautiful, Jess. Thank you. And you pretty much addressed every one of these bullets in your own words. I love what you had to say. There's a time for closed-ended questions. There's a time for open-ended questions, right? You talk about the balance of inquiry and advocacy, right? I may need to very much lead the witness to tie their shoe. But if I'm trying to build a relationship or build trust or make them think, or how do we innovate, I'm going to be more inquisitive, right? And the one thing I didn't hear you mention that I know you preach all the time, tell us about the next question.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think you're the one that kind of coined that phrase. So the next question, often we'll ask that one question that gets people kind of, like you mentioned earlier, like they'll look up. I mean, that's my favorite. I ask them that question. They're like, oh, and they'll look up to the side, right? Either the left or right. And then they'll respond. And often we'll stop there and say, oh, okay, good. But the next question is, in their response, something else reveals itself, right? Maybe there's a why, like, okay, I understand what you said, but why did you say this specifically? So for example, you and I were in this group conversation, and one of the members made a comment that she was going to behave. There was a question asked. Her response was, well, I'm just going to behave nicely. I'm going to be a nice, polite lady. And we could have left it at that. But then the next question was, oh, why did you use the words nice, polite lady? That's interesting. And so she went on to explain what she actually meant by that. So we were all able to get clear. And so that next question helps us me as the coach, gain deeper understanding of where the person's coming from. or maybe the intent behind their response, or maybe a hidden grievance, because they're going to, I mean, because this is a new practice for everybody. Most of the times we're going to answer in such a way to terminate the line of questioning and move on.
Yeah, beautifully said. I love it. And you've got to listen, like you mentioned earlier. If you're going to find that next question, listen, but not just listening with your ears. I love what you said, listening with your eyes. People are very intentional with their actions and the selection of words. So thanks, Jesse. Thanks for going impromptu and adding value to this presentation. I very, very much value that.
Got it. I'm gonna go get me some tacos, baby.
We're all envious of you. So moving on, I'd love to just touch this because it is very much an art, right? As we're, there's some skillful dialogue. There's some ways to ask questions where you're being inquisitive, but also advocating. And so you can combine those two into skillful dialogue, or you can just stand there and let it roll. So questions are everything. Questions are how we find motivation. Questions are how we engage with teams. And quite honestly, when teams are able to build the capability of asking great questions and perfecting that, then people feel more connected to their work. Another amazing topic that I always dive into, love talking about feedback. In fact, Jen and Jess just this weekend had an entire show dedicated to, if you don't follow them on LinkedIn, you've got to go check them out. The whole show is dedicated to feedback. And feedback is so important. That's how we get better. That's how we improve. That's how we understand what landed. At the end of this presentation, we're going to experience some feedback. And what I want is radical candor feedback, right? What does that mean? Well, radical candor feedback is really the art of caring personally and challenging directly. So it comes from this book by Kim Scott. Amazing, amazing book. I would highly suggest it. How to Be a Great Boss Without Losing Your Humanity. Radical Candor is the name, but it's this quadrant of caring personally and challenging directly. So if I care about you personally and I'm challenging you directly, I'm living in this quadrant of radical candor. If I really don't care about you, but I'm challenging you directly, which happens all the time in construction, I'm just being obnoxiously aggressive. Okay. Now, on the reverse side, if I'm not challenging you directly and I really don't care about you, I'm just manipulatively insincere. I really just don't care. Do whatever you want, whatever. Now, if I really care personally, but I remain silent and I don't challenge you directly, then it's like I'm enabling you and I am just you live in this ruinous empathy quadrant. So I encourage you, feedback is really, really hard to give, super hard to receive. In fact, we often talk about the only response for feedback is thank you, because that then tells the other person that I value what you had to say and I heard you and I want more of that in the future. Therefore, I'm just going to say thank you. I can agree. I cannot agree. I can do something with it. I cannot. In fact, I would recommend that you only improve those things that start trending and you start hearing the same thing over and over. And it's like, okay, now something needs to be improved. So, you're a lot of times, people are going to care personally, but are they really challenging you directly? So you got to look at your relationships and really think about that. Because when teams are able to develop capabilities to give and receive radical candor feedback, people are going to feel more connected to their work. So Felipe, would love for you to come off mute, throw your video on if you can.
I'm here. I can't throw video, but I'm definitely here and I'll channel in the best voice possible, like Jesse.
Yeah, well, I love your voice is amazing. The EBFC show, everything you do for the industry is hands down amazing. You're developing an awesome culture in construction. Tell me, just from your perspective, what makes up the culture calculation?
Culture calculation is made up of two parts. This is an easy 1 + 1 = 2 formula here. The first part is completely invisible. Surprise, it's inside of you. You carry around your culture with you everywhere you go. Every single project team, every single organization has a baseline culture, whether you are obviously aware or unaware, you carry it with you everywhere. So the first one is the unseen culture. The part two is the intention. The unseen culture, your belief system, your philosophy, plus your intention will create the culture of intention. You like that, Adam? I just rhymed that out with your beautiful visuals here.
You just nailed it, man.
You've got to have that intention. And if you show up, like Adam said, just even in that chaos matrix, if you don't care and that means you're just going to subjugate yourself to the dominant or pervasive culture. And like Adam said, I do not accept that I don't get to influence. Part of the reason why I'm here is to have fun and to stimulate and to create new culture that's more exciting, because I want to have fun everywhere I go, no matter how complex or technical the project is or the problem is. Why not enjoy it? Why are we here if we can't enjoy it? Let's enjoy it. Create an intentional culture of respect for people, which is not present everywhere, but I carry it with me. And if you forget, if you could see my video, Adam, it's stitched onto the heart of my shirt, as you know. So that's what I have to say on culture. Yeah, be intentional with it. Be aware. It doesn't matter if you're having a good day or a bad day. It's a choice for the 1+1 to equal the culture you're going to be in. And all of you, I challenge each of you, like Adam loves to challenge you. I'm challenging all of you because I genuinely care. Create the type of culture that you want to be in. Bring it with you. You are a co-creator everywhere you go, in your family, at work, at your place, your house of worship. It doesn't matter where you go. Where you go, you bring it with you. You have the option, the capability, the capacity to influence an intentional culture. So remember that 1+1 equals the culture you'll live in, the unseen and the intention.
I love it, Felipe. Man, I value everything you had to say. If you're not being intentional about developing your culture, then you're being intentional about developing your culture. Your culture is going to be there, right? Whether you want it or not, it's there. And so I love what you're saying is like, okay, if you're going to have culture there, why don't you take it by the reins and make it what you want? You got to, people perform best when they're in environments where they can be themselves, be 100% just authentic. And that's what we're trying to encourage with this culture, this revolution that's taking place in construction. Thank you, Felipe. I very much value your participation. And I know, again, this word drives me crazy, because when I look at culture, you're right. It's 1+1, right? It's intentionality. And what was the other word you used?
The unseen, your personal philosophy.
Yeah. And so what's so tough about that is the unseen is multiplied or divided by, look at all these craft workers and all the management and supervisor and architect and engineer, like all of those people make up a project culture. And so when we're starting construction projects, we've really got to take the time to be intentional to discover what it is about the unseen, what it is about the people on the project, because ultimately the people is what's making up our culture. Ultimately for me, Felipe, and I'd love for you to speak to this, but it's seeing as a team, knowing as a team, and acting as a team. I mean, that's
oh God. Shout out to Jason Schroeder. He's like burned that into my mind, Adam.
Good. I think he's burning into all of our minds. And I want to say, again, his podcasts are amazing. Elevate Construction, IST, he's got fantastic information out there. Jesse's got the learnings and missteps. We just got so many ballers on the call. I love where we're at. What do you think, Felipe? You want to round us out?
For me on this one, I'm building a lean culture. Like what this is saying is this is being super intentional with transparency. For all this to happen, you've got to increase the transparency. A lot of the stuff that we have in our project teams, and appreciate the the big audience here from all over, from Canada all the way to the far reaches of the US, which is like the furthest place you could go is Texas. It's its own country. But I like that we've got this transparency is going to let all this stuff happen. A lot of the times, a lot of the problems in construction, Adam, as you know, hence your beautiful company name, Construction Ache Solutions, the pain people feel is that your perception of something and someone, the next person sitting across from you or next to you, might not have the same perspective because there often isn't a process for us to reveal it. Like I'm working with teams every day, and from the executives down to the people closest to the issue, there's a disconnect on what the problems really are due to low transparency environment. So that I love here, that if we can see it together, if you can visualize it like this beautiful chart of 3 bubbles, and Adam and I can look at it side by side, the problem is in front of us and not in Adam's face, as Joe Damaruno taught me so many years ago.
Beautifully said, Felipe. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. So again, as we're going back through here, summarizing up these tools, these concepts that really dedicate themselves to developing capabilities, I remind you, we need to do more pausing, reflecting, and sharing within our industry. And that needs to cross company lines, right? That we need to help one another get better because there's so much room for improvement. Encourage you to get outside your comfort zone. That might mean just going out there and building relationships with trade partners. That might mean just not being the last one to say bye in your next call, or maybe talk to your folks about how you're planning work. Is there a better way to do it? Throw up a whiteboard that says innovation. There's many different ways to get outside your comfort zone to make better things happen on your job. Push some form, pull some content. Again, it's the art of questioning, as Jesse so eloquently said. Use the shoe tying method, closed-ended questions when it's applicable, but help people think, right? Help them really dive in and own their work. Give them radical candor feedback, care about people personally and challenge them directly. Ultimately drive, it's all about that culture. And so when we're connecting people to the work through using all of these tools and concepts, your productivity is going to increase rapidly. And so it's one of the things, again, we just don't think about the compound interest of capability development. And it might pause the work for an hour to talk about how we can improve the work. But if we save even 30 minutes, that only takes 2 weeks to pay itself back. And then think about that exponential interest on that. And so as I'm coming into a close here, it's been fun. That's my phone number. I think we're going to put some of that information in the chat. I really want to have one more experiment. And for those of you who have never been in Mural, we actually developed some capabilities today. This is how I want to end, with a plus delta. And so again, this is another pause and reflect opportunity. And you can hit that QR code, or you can go to plusdelta.app, app, or I'm going to pop that right here into the chat box. So you can click on the link in the chat box, go out there, give me some pluses, give me some deltas. What I always tell people, a plus is something that that added value, and this was something you heard that you're going to be able to use, something that added value. So click on that link. You just ask your name. They won't send you any emails. Just pop in here. I'm going to show you how to do this here. Jesse and Felipe's participation was just amazing. Thank you, guys. Let's see. Delta, limited participation in Mural. I would have liked to see more people in Mural. So pop in there, give me some pluses, give me some deltas. I value them both very, very much. And hopefully you'll develop some capabilities while using this free tool, Plus Delta app. And from there, Chris, I just appreciate this opportunity. Thank you so much to talk a little bit about developing capabilities for individuals and teams.
Awesome. Thanks, Adam. And thank you everyone for joining us. Beth's going to be sending out some contact information in the chat, and also there will be a follow-up email with the link to this. So really appreciate everyone's time. And look, if you've ever underbid on a project and lost money on it, feel free to give us a buzz. Thanks, Adam.
Yes, sir. And this will stay open. So feel free, hop out there and give us some feedback. That's what it's all about.